Okay, Sistas fans, we're talking Season 4, Episode 17, entitled Some Sort of Woman. First of all, I didn't realize it until later in the day because trust and believe, I would have done a quick video about it yesterday, but yesterday, July 6th, it's funny to realize that in reality, that was supposed to be the day that Sistas originally came back. Yeah, that was supposed to be Season 4, Episode 12, not 17. So, wow. Also, just thank the Lord that the storm that was hitting the area yesterday had stopped around, like maybe a little after 8 o'clock, because I knew that as soon as the sky got dark and the wind started going, I'm like, here we go again. Another week where I can't watch Sistas live tweet, nor do a live stream right after. But thankfully, no problem at all. Had a great time watching the episode. Yes, and that'll be reflected in my score. Had an awesome time tweeting with everyone, as well as doing a lengthy live stream last night. We went for almost 90 minutes last night. It was great. Thanks to those who donated. That was awesome. And we're going to talk again about Some Sort of Woman. Originally, I was thinking about giving the episode maybe a 6 or 7, but the fact that I enjoyed it so much more than last week, as well as, the choices of background music and whatnot, 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the episode. This was, I need to go back and look through the scores, but I feel confident saying that this was probably the best episode of Season 4B so far. One of, if not the best so far, just because I really had a good time watching it. Like I said, it was a lot better than last week. I feel like maybe because even though we did have Calvin Q stuff, it was heavily reduced compared to last week. So that's probably one reason it felt better. Not to mention, I have to say this. This is the first episode since Season 3's mid-season finale that I've actually liked Karen. I like Karen's character more than the other women. Seriously, I really love this episode. Alright, so let's jump into it. As always, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit subscribe and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. So let's breeze through this first scene. Over the past week, a lot of people online were saying, man, Calvin's actor, Anthony, he's terrible. Get rid of him. No. He can act. I've seen him in other projects. It's the fact that he's a bad drunk actor. But then again, when Tyler is doing these scenes, he's doing one take more often than not. So let me put it this way. I have no doubt that Anthony was giving Tyler Perry what he wanted Calvin to do. Because Calvin isn't, well, I guess you could say the stereotypical man. He's flamboyant. So it's like if he's drunk, he's not going to be a typical drunk. He's going to be goofy as opposed to, a convincing drunk. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's been a minute since I did my drunk Andy impression because Andy really hasn't been drinking. So I don't even feel like doing a drunk Calvin because I feel like I'll be doing a disservice because I don't think I could do as bad a drunk voice as Calvin. I really can't. So long story short, we pick up where we left off with a cliffhanger. I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm like, oh, we're really starting the episode with this. To be completely honest, I thought we would kind of just not pick up where we left off and instead jump to the moment that Maurice comes back to the apartment. Matter of fact, I'll just talk about both scenes at once. So Calvin rejects Q's offer to get freaked because he says, I only like getting freaked by women like Sabrina. Okay, first of all, Sabrina has never freaked you. The only woman you've gotten freaky with like that is Peggy. You told Sabrina about everything you like what your kinks and fetishes are, but hell, I remember being disturbed when she said she would have to take a pill or drink something in order to do those things, and I'm like, is she really going to do that just to make it through sex with Calvin? That's awful. So yeah, Calvin just basically rejects Q's offer to, have him, I'm not gay. So basically from there, he gets up to go to his room, which Q tells him, actually that's the refrigerator. And that's Maurice's room, but Calvin just goes in anyway. He's like, stay on that couch, because Q was going to get up and show him where his room was. But I will admit, I did laugh out loud when Calvin was like, good night, Cubert. That was funny. I'm not going to lie. I did get a laugh out of that. So later on in the episode, Maurice actually gets home. He's like, wait, where did this bastard go? Because Q isn't on the couch. He checks Calvin's room, and it's empty. And then he goes into his room, and then he sees Q, and I believe nothing but like his boxers and some socks, and Calvin and his head resting literally between Q's legs on his crotch. Because this dude is falling out drunk. And Q explains, and that's the thing about Q. He's like, I don't know if it's like a sense of lack of self-awareness where he doesn't realize, hey, you may have an explanation, but it looks shady and sketchy. Like, for example, Maurice coming home to his apartment, his and Calvin's apartment, and finding Calvin and Q in his bed. And Q explains, well, your man was in here talking about how he was drunk. I tried to tell him to, go to his room, but, he was so drunk he came into yours. I was on the couch, and then I heard him. He was like, about to get sick, so I brought the buckets, and, Tyler Perry had like, 2 or 3 buckets there with some oatmeal in it to, illustrate, him puking. And Maurice is just so mad right now. He's telling him to get out, rightfully so. And then Q's like, hey, get your ass back on the couch. Well, hey, you're lucky I came in here when I did. Talking about the vomit being in the bucket instead of the floor. And it's like, Q, bro, don't be getting... It's kind of like Greg on Bruh, where, Tom let Greg stay with him, and then Greg tried to get pissy with him. It's like, no, man. This is my home. I'm letting you stay here, so don't talk to me like that. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where, Maurice should have kicked both of their asses out to the curb. And that's about it. Aside from the fact that Maurice calls him out. He's like, get your head off this man's penis and get in your bed. And also the fact, Q, why aren't you wearing any clothes? And it's just one of those things where, again, is it thirst trap season or what? It's like in the previous episode when Calvin gets home and Q is laying on the couch, legs open and everything. And hell, he even calls him out for it. He's like, hey man, you're the one who came in here, woke me up. Nah, you're lying. I came in here and you said you were still awake. So I'm like, damn, even drunk Calvin knows Q's telling some bull crap. So yeah, I mean, Q was definitely more dressed on the couch than he was when Calvin was resting his head on his crotch. Now, that can be a couple of things here. Q lost more clothing. He took off more clothing because he was about to go to bed. And he was on the couch. And then he overheard Calvin about to get sick. That's when he rushed in there to get the buckets and whatnot. Or he's like, you know what? Since Calvin is back, that means the next person to come through the door is going to be Maurice. So let me lose some of these clothes and then lay on the couch like I was when Calvin walked in, so Maurice will be tempted. That could be the situation with that. But then again, I don't know. And I mean, not to mention, Calvin was super drunk and sick, so who knows what the hell Q did to him when he was sleeping. I don't know, and I don't want to think about it. So we don't have to talk about it anymore. We'll talk about the good shit. Okay, so Karen, let me put it this way. Karen and Aaron were going at it, and Andy won't the only one getting back shots in the episode. Karen and Aaron are going at it, and this is the part that got me. So the girls come over, they announce that they're there, and Karen is telling them, no, wait, don't come in. Oh, we're coming in. And then they come in, and they just awkwardly stand there for far longer than they should be. And that's the one thing about this episode I really want to highlight with Karen's character. She says no to the norm. She breaks the cycle. She does it twice. Here's the first time. Number one, because I'm standing there saying like, okay, first of all, the girls were the ones who barged in unannounced, didn't call and whatnot. They explained why they didn't in the last episode. Yeah, she won't answer her phone and all if we call, so we just got to roll up on her ass. And it's like, y'all the one who went to her apartment unannounced, and she was like, y'all get out of here, y'all go home. No, we're going to wait in the hallway. You carry your ass home, and you can leave the key too, because you don't do that shit. No, because the way this is like a norm. Anytime anytime, and this mainly happens with, let's say, Andy or Gary. Well, no, this happened recently, hell, even with Preston. Basically, whenever one of the women has a man at their place, one of the other girls will just show up out of the blue. And once that sister comes into the room, it's kind of like an understood thing where, oh, the guy has to leave. No, the girl needs to be like, hey, you know what? Sit down, baby, relax. Let me talk to my friend real quick, and then, she can go. Because I remember one time that happened with Karen and Aaron where Sabrina just popped up out of nowhere. And she only had to say one or two things about Danny or Andy and then just left. Maybe it was like after the whole Jasmine fell off the roof thing and, Sabrina was worried about Karen. And I'm like, Andy, and it's like, you could have just called her. And the thing I hate is like the girls sometimes expect the guy to just leave. Like they'll give the guy attitude like they weren't the ones to just pop up, out of nowhere, not knock a door. It's just crazy. So yeah, so Karen is like, no, Aaron, you stay your ass right there. You stay on the couch. I'm gonna go out in this hallway and get rid of these women. So she steps out there. Danny's in full Joker mode. Oh, he was getting that ass. What was up with that? It's like, no. What are y'all doing here? Well, we want to know. And that's the thing, because the girls are still in that attitude they were in the previous episode that I didn't like, where it's like, so why didn't you tell us you went to the doctor? Yes, I went to the doctor, but I won't tell you what the doctor said until tomorrow. I wasn't even mad at Karen for not telling them on the spot. Sure, she could have just said up front, I'm barely 4 weeks pregnant. I don't know who the baby daddy is. So go. She didn't need to explain shit. Yes, this is one of those times where it's like, Jeremy, you're actually defending Karen? Yeah, 1,000%, because she didn't deserve that in the moment. No, for real. That was, because then from there, look, I will fill you in tomorrow about what happened to the doctor, but for now, y'all need to bounce. And I'm still mad because Andy's just acting like the whole conversation at her job that she had with Karen didn't even happen. So in any case, the Karen goes back inside, and they're like, okay, good night, Karen, good night, Pastor. And it's like, yo, that won't cool. And for all y'all saying I'm Karen haters and whatnot, I call out all the characters on their bullshit. Okay? Now, if you don't understand that about me and the channel now, at this point, I don't know what to say for you, aside from you just look for things that people say or do to justify labeling them as a Karen hater. So, from there, Aaron is getting dressed, and Karen's like, no. Because I think earlier, Aaron's like, no, we were in the middle of round 2, talking about some round 1. So, Aaron is getting dressed because, it's like, look, you know what? It's cool your friends came over because they care about you. And it's like, no, it's not cool. It's good to have people care about you. I'm not lying. Aaron was right on that. But there's a level of disrespect that just happened here. So, and he does mention how, we were both in the moment. And this is just going to make things complicated because, the way you flip-flop and all. And she's mad that the girl, look, I'm going to cuss him out because the girls ruined this, and they did. And he'll call her tomorrow, and then he leaves because he was like, look, Karen, I'm a grown man and whatnot. And it's like in that moment, I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't fully feel bad for Aaron, because he's a grown man and he's allowing himself to simp like this. He's allowing himself to be 1 minute, pushed away by Karen, the next minute, because, and I'm going, okay. So in the previous episode, I don't want to have your baby because I don't know you well enough. Then he goes to the store to get pickles. And then he, does that piece of art. Make love to me. And then the next morning at the salon, I'm not happy with him. Yeah, I don't get it. So, in any case, Karen's pissed off. And again, 1,000% Karen has every right to be mad. Okay, so we got Andy looking fine as hell. Sky Black's a lucky man. That's all I gotta say. She's at her penthouse, and I love how this scene this is one of those moments like, oh shit, we're actually going to be doing stuff in this episode, because we went directly from Karen's place back to Andy's penthouse. Robin walks in, they kind of chat each other up a little bit, and then they start kissing, and the conversation goes to Gary guilt, and Andy And this is like one of those scenes like Andy wasn't a good character for me until they got to the law firm. Because this episode, I'm just like, okay, I can't stand Andy. She is up here doing what all these women do. Whether it be Danny, whether it be Karen, whether it be Sabrina. Whenever somebody catches them and rightfully calls them out for their bullshit, they want to get mad about it. Every time. So Robin, because he's been reading her like a book ever since he's been introduced, he is rightfully calling her out because she's not fully over Gary. It's not over. He's stuck in the middle of this sick game she's playing. But what does she say? There's no Gary guilt. It's really over between us. And this is what she'll do. What do I look like? You think I'm some sort of whore or something? Season 3 Andy was full of nothing but hoe energy. Season 3 Andy was a whore. So she's sitting up there. That's what she'll do. She'll always try to like throw that card like, oh, so what am I, a whore? Do you think I'm some sort of, a hoe? Robin? And then try to guilt trip Robin into backtracking. But no, he stood 10 toes strong. And then he's just like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. So he starts going at it with her. And this fool Gary is, watching through the telescope. And then Jake comes in, scares him half to death. And then Gary explains the whole situation about how he bought this $3.5 million penthouse. And Jake's like, okay, what do you mean? Well, you know what? That's why I like you, man. You're so cool. I mean, 3.5 mil, that's nothing but a drop in the bucket compared to the money you make. And then from there, kind of like what Aaron says in the promo for the next episode. So you're saying she's up there having sex with that guy right now, but how do you know that, Gary? And then it's like, before he takes a couple sips of his drink because, oh yeah, we have a Jasmine reference here because, Jake knows that Gary's upset, but, he says, hey, is it your ex-wife? No, it's not about her. I ain't thinking about her. And I'm thinking, hell, I know I am. But, Gary says, I got to do something. So he takes a couple sips of his drink and he leaves. And Jake takes a peek at the telescope and he probably says one of the best lines of the episode. Damn, he's giving her back shots. And then this fool just walks out of the scene. When I tell you I was laughing my ass off, man. This episode here. Okay, so the next day we go over to Karen's salon. And all the women are lined up. I'm not going to lie. I'm not mad at Danny for going off in the hallway in the last episode when the girl's like, okay, so we need to wake up and be at the salon to confront Karen before she opens shop. And Sabrina's like, that's like before 8 a.m., right? And Danny's like, I ain't trying to get up that early. And I'm like, the girls, they must have woke up like a kid that's super excited about going on a school field trip. I tweeted that. And BET actually responded like, I bet they had their clothes laid out too. Man, I miss those days. The morning of a school field trip was just a different kind of vibe in general. So the girls are waiting outside. Karen's like, what, y'all just woke up early to have this conversation out here? And then Andy has the audacity to be rude. Like, well, typically it's polite whenever people come over, to go inside. So let's go inside. So it's kind of weird because I called out Karen for going to the law firm and acting like she was entitled and deserved to know an answer as to why Zach got arrested, for the whole hating attack thing. And then in this situation, you got the girls with the audacity to feel like they need to know what was going on about the doctor's office, despite the fact that they're the ones who rudely interrupted Karen yesterday. And also, shout out to Pam because Karen thought that Pam was the one that told them about the doctor's appointment, but it's like, no, we figured it out. We're smart. And I'm like, only when the plot needs you to be. So, barely 4 weeks pregnant. And this sister circle moment, again, this is part 2 or the second time in the episode where Karen breaks the norm, and I love it. First, it was the whole, no, the women, y'all need to go. My man's staying right here. And then he eventually leaves anyway. But then in this situation, you know how the sister circle plays out. Andy or Karen, or in this case Karen, is the subject of the sistervention. And the girls do the following. Danny is the one who tells the truth. She gets silenced by Andy and Sabrina, who do nothing but try to pacify the situation by whispering, sweet things in Karen's ear, which actually don't mean shit. And then eventually hey, it'll be okay. Don't worry about it. But then time goes on. Shit gets worse, and things that Danny said actually come to light. Then Sabrina and Andy will say what Danny said before she got silenced, acting like they were the ones who are so profound and smart. And then they'll look over at Danny like, hey, why are you so quiet? Because I actually tried to say the same shit y'all are saying now, and y'all told me to hush, so I have nothing to say. Karen squashes this by saying, no, I want to hear what Danny has to say. And Danny said some profound stuff. But I gotta dock points here because, Sabrina was the one that did the math in her head and figured, then, yeah, there's no 100% confirmation that it is Zach's baby, because barely 4 weeks means it's right in between the time of you, having sex with both him and Aaron. And Danny's like, well, I'm happy. Yeah, this is great. What do you mean? Because now this is yet another thing you can use to help you propel forward and get over Zach. Why the hell Andy and Sabrina wanted her to be quiet about this? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Andy was in her office saying, well, Aaron's a good man. Zach and Fatima, he's moved on. Why is it bad when Danny says it? And then Danny moves on to say, look, here's the thing. You still got time. You got 9 months. Technically, Danny, she has about 8 or less, but you have 9 months. You have time to figure things out. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. And then Andy has, the nerve like, wow, that was very profound. I didn't expect that from you. Shut up. And then Sabrina, again, this is how it goes. Danny says the truth. Andy and Sabrina, shut up. Hey, Karen, girl, it's going to be okay. Because, Sabrina and Andy are in unison. But then Danny will say something else, and Sabrina's like, well, she has a point. And then Andy's left by herself. That's how it goes every single time. Sabrina is a non-fact. Sabrina may as well not even be there for these discussions because she adds nothing useful to the conversation. It's just a matter of Danny being the real truth teller. But I got to go at her, like I said earlier, dock a couple points from her, because go back 2 or 3 episodes. Let's talk about Karen and this baby. I think it's your baby, Zach, and I think it's yours too. Well, this is great. Shut up, Danny. Okay. So from there, like I mentioned before, she says, I'm not happy with Preacher, yada, yada, yada. I feel like I'm losing him day by day. Well, it's not fully your fault, Karen, because time. You still haven't had time to fully move on from Zach, even though it is ridiculous at this point that you think that there's some hope of you getting back together or you getting him back. Number 2, the fact that you keep pushing him away, but at the same time, Aaron doesn't understand boundaries. It's the fact that you keep telling him you need space, but yet he keeps intruding on it. So again, I can't fully be mad at Karen about that. So eventually, the women change subjects by saying they got to go to work, and Danny lets it drop that Sabrina's dating a prince, and they want the details, but mainly Andy does, because Karen is like, wait, what? But she has a lot on her plate. So Sabrina says, I'll fill you in on the details later. So her and Danny leave right as Pam comes in, and then Andy eventually bounces. And we have a sweet moment between Pam and Karen, where Pam brought her some breakfast. And, it's just to make sure she stays healthy and whatnot. And from there, this was a great scene, a sweet one. But I think what would have made it really funny, because this episode did have a lot of comedic moments, it isn't a necessary moment that needed to be added, but it would have made me laugh even harder. When Pam was like, girl, I only brought one. You want to let me have a bite or two of that too, right? Because she was going to go heat it up. Karen looked at her and she was like, oh, no, I'm just kidding. What I think would have been funny is Karen, and she would have said, girl, it ain't enough for us. What do you mean? That's a lot of food. Because I'm eating for 2. That would have been funny. That would have been great. That would have gave Karen a good comedic moment. Again, not necessary, but it would have been great. Okay, so moving on, we go over to the law firm. You got Hayden confronting Andy about how Fatima got out of jail. And, because it wasn't just a judge. It was a high-level call that Hayden made. But somehow, Andy was able to hit that reverse card. But he is confident that Zach is going to stay locked up and he won't get out. Now, after Hayden leaves and kind of, flirts with Hayden a bit. Oh, I like that suit on you. Hayden's like, I gotta go take care of that thing. And Andy's like, wait, what was that for? And Andy laughs out loud at the fact that Robin explained that his plan is to, pretend to be gay to Hayden to freak him out. And it's kind of like, well, I thought that was your whole thing about going to the penthouse last night, because in one of the previous episodes, you told Andy, oh no, I got a plan for Hayden, but I'll tell you when I come over to your place. But I guess that conversation never happened. Now, we go over to the fact that he enjoyed last night, but Andy's like, hey, we can't talk about that here. And I'm thinking, well, he is the owner of the place, so it is what it is. All right, but in any case, no luck with Zach yet because the situation is complicated. And the best he can do at the moment is Fatima can go see Zach with a lawyer present. So basically, Andy and Fatima can go to see Zach together. Okay, so Andy gave Fatima the day off because of everything that's going on. But Robin mentions the email for the meeting that's about to happen. And he says, let's go screw up Hayden's day. So they go. And because he doesn't know he's the boss. Now the meeting takes place. John and the guy who's talking, I forgot his name, but basically he's one of Andy's OG bosses there. He talks about how, hey, John and I have been in the business for over 44 years, but it's time to retire. A majority owner, the stocks and ownership have been sold to Mr. Robin Parker, and I think he mentions two other guys too. So Robin is the new man in charge, so, make sure you follow his lead and continue to make money. And Hayden's face is hilarious, so pay attention to Hayden's face in that scene. And, Robin's like, he gives the, introductory, like, hey, it'll be a pleasure getting to know you all. My door's always going to be open. Look out for my introductory emails while I get to know each and every one of you. And from there, he approaches Hayden, as he congratulates him and says, oh yeah, me and you will have plenty of time to talk about everything you told me and everything that, Hayden told him in the last episode. So from there, Robin tells Andy that he's going to New York tonight. And I'm like, get your ass on that jet, Andy. But she's like, oh, I'm too busy. And he'll call her later because Andy was hoping he would come over to her place tonight. But, again, he's going to New York. It would have been cool if she went, because if you remember Have and Have Nots, when Oscar and Candace went from Atlanta to New York, that was like a great change of scenery. I wish we could have got, something like that. All right, so Andy calls Fatima, and I'm guessing this is why, or one reason why Andy didn't go, because she wanted to help out Fatima and Zach, but she should have went on that jet. There was literally nothing stopping her. Robin is the boss, and she was like, I'm too busy with work. You do know I own this place, right? Just hell with work. Let me go. All right. So Fatima calls. Andy gets a call, Andy calls Fatima, and this girl rushes out of that door so fast, like what's her name, Sha'Carri Richardson, the track runner. But Fatima sprinted out that damn door. She couldn't get to the jail fast enough, because Andy lets her know, look, hey, no luck on getting Zach out, but the best I can do, thanks to Robin, is to go down there with you to be, a lawyer so we can talk to Zach. So the one thing I wanted to praise about this episode was the lighting. Crystal looked amazing in this lighting. Tyler Perry, this was a great shot. All right, so from there, we got Hayden calling Zach Dumb and Dumber, full effect. This was hilarious. So he wants to let Gary know that, hey, this guy isn't who he says he is, because Robin just bought the law firm. So he's probably moving here too. And then from there, he's like, he's gay. Wait, what makes you say that? Yo, because yesterday, we talked and, he wants me, man. Wait, you're a lawyer, right? And he's okay. So when did he tell you? Well, yeah, I pretty much said, are you hitting Andy? And so how long after that did he said he's gay? Like right after that. Again, you're a lawyer and you can't tell that he's lying to you. No, man, he wanted me. You should have seen him. And then I feel like that was the moment that Gary's like, I just hired the dumbest spy ever. So he's like, no, because he's banging Andy. I saw him. Wait, how do you know this? And then he hangs up on him. That was some funny shit. So we get to the last scene of the episode. Zach and brought into the room, and he and Fatima hug. Zach is kind of being an asshole. Thankfully, Andy puts him in his place because he's like, what's Andy doing up here? But basically, Andy explains, well, so far I can't get you out because Robin is trying to. Who the hell is Robin? The person who helped Fatima get out and is trying to get you out as well. Okay, thank you, Andy. So that's why Andy has to be in there, because remember, there has to be a legal person in the room for Fatima to be there to visit Zach. And the thing is, Zach, kind of gets mad about the situation because Andy, so why did, what? You lied to me. You didn't tell me you were locked up. And I bet Andy, you told her not to tell me either. Yeah, because you will blow up the way you did. And Andy's like, yeah, I tried to calm you down. Yeah, you did. So here's the thing. I've been getting flack. I've been getting dragged for saying how Zach and Fatima are doing street shit and they're getting legal, consequences, jail and whatnot. Andy so eloquently said what I've been saying for the past 3 weeks or so. The fact that Hayden is playing the game smart. You're letting this one person infect your relationship. But to be fair, he is doing too much. And everybody has a breaking point. But at the same time, he can sue. Sue for what? Because you both assaulted him as well as his property? Oh yeah. And he's winning because guess what? You two are the ones who are in and out of jail. So Andy just tries to tell them not to handle things by doing it the street way. And then this fool Zach is like, what do you mean street way? What do you know about the streets? Oh, I know the streets. Yeah, what, Beverly Hills Street? Beverly Hills Avenue? No, all the streets. Universal. Andy's so adorable when she's ignorant. But then Zach looks over at Fatima like, look, this is your fault. What do you mean this is my fault? You can't be giving that thing to everybody. You're the stallion giving it to a munchkin. And then the fact that, Fatima was just getting into the character and Andy was like, oh my goodness. And again, a prime example of Zatima. I feel like this is the mood Zatima is going to be when the show comes out. So D.A. Jefferson comes in and basically lays it down that, hey, you know what? You're on probation because of the child support. And he's like, child support? And apparently, since the child was born, it's like you being considered on the run. And look, I don't need to explain the scene. This was in the promo. Everybody's been talking about it. So they're looking at a 10 to 15 year sentence, which makes no sense. So I don't need to explain it here. I've had people who broke shit down like, hey, I used to be a probation officer, or I live in the state of Georgia, or I looked up the code and Tyler Perry's writing made no sense. I'm thinking, where the hell is that DNA test? What about the $32,000, $37,000, $39,000 that Jake let Zach borrow temporarily to get him out of jail for the back child support? This whole being on probation shit makes no sense. But Zach is going to get out, so we'll figure out how it gets fixed in the next episode. So that's, with that being said, that's the episode. I really enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What were some of the highlights for you? Follow me on social media, hit that bell icon and select all, and I'll catch you all in the next one.